So, IBelieveTara, the hashtag that has been trending for quite a while now. This excerpt was posted about a week and a half ago, and this is Tara describing in her own words what happened to her. So we're going to start off by listening to this. And content warning, this may be rough for survivors of sexual violence or other people similarly affected. So
called me in and said, I want you to take this to Joe. He wants it. He wants you to bring it. Hurry. And I said, okay. And it was a gym bag. She said, take the gym bag. She called it athletic bag. And, she said he was down towards the Capitol and he'll meet you. And so I went down and I was heading down towards there. And he was at first talking to someone. I could see him at a different distance, and then they went away. And then we were in like the side. It was like the side area. And he just said, hey, come here, Tara. And then I handed him the thing and he greeted me. He remembered my name. And then we were alone, and it was the strangest thing. There was no like exchange really. He just had me up against the wall. And I was wearing like a skirt and, business skirt, but I wasn't wearing stockings. It was kind of a hot day that day, and I was wearing heels. And I remember my legs had been hurting from the marble, of the Capitol, like walking. And so I remember that kind of stuff. I remember like I was wearing a blouse and he just had me up against the wall, and the wall was cold. And I remember it happened all at once. The gym bag, I don't know where it went. I handed it to him, it was gone. And then his hands were on me and underneath my clothes. And and then he went down my skirt, but then up inside it. And he penetrated me with his fingers, whatever. And he was kissing me at the same time, and he was saying something to me. He said several things, and I can't remember everything he said. I remember a couple of things. I remember him saying first, before, like as he was doing it, do you want to go somewhere else? And then him saying to me, when I pulled away, he got finished doing what he was doing, and I kind of was pulled back, and he said, come on, man, I heard you liked me. And it's that phrase stayed with me because I kept thinking what I might have said. And I can't remember exactly if he said I thought or if I heard, but it's like he implied like that I had done this, like, I don't know. And for me, it was like everything shattered in that moment, because I knew like we were alone. It was over, right? He wasn't trying to do anything more, but I looked up to him. He was like my father's age. He was this champion of women's rights in my eyes. And I couldn't believe it was happening. It seemed surreal. And I just felt sick because when he pulled back, he looked annoyed. And he said something else to me that I don't want to say. And then he said, I must have looked shocked, and he grabbed me by the shoulders. I don't know how I looked, but I must have looked something, because he grabbed me by the shoulders and he said, you're okay, you're fine, you're okay, you're fine. And then he walked away and he went on with his day. And what I remember next is being in the Russell building, like where the big windows are, and the stairs by myself. And my body, I was shaking everywhere and it was cold all of a sudden. And I don't know, I felt like I was shaking just everywhere. And I was trying to grasp what had just happened and what I should do or what I should say. But I knew it was bad because he was so angry. Like when he left, like I could feel, how when someone's angry, they don't necessarily have to say anything. Like he smiles when he's angry, and you can just feel it emanating from him. Like,
do you want to share that thing that you said you don't like? You said like I don't want to say what he said. That thing he said to you.
Yeah, I guess I could.
I mean, you don't have to.
It's okay. It's just it's almost like giving a weapon to them.
How so?
Well, it's like I don't want them to know how much it hurt. I don't, I don't want him to know when I don't know, but
that
yeah,
like that you remembered it.
Yeah, just the, I don't know. But yeah, I can say it. Yeah, there was something he said that I didn't want to say, and I didn't want to say it because it's the thing that stays in my head over and over, like And it's a thing that kind of stayed with me over the years. But he said, when he had me against the wall after I pulled away, and he had said, "Hey, come on, I heard you liked me." And I knew he was angry right after. He took his finger, he just like pointed at me and he said, "You're nothing to me." And then he just looked at me and he goes, "You're nothing, nothing." And then I must have reacted. And I think he only said it twice. I said, but I but I just heard the word nothing. And I must have reacted because that's when he took me by the shoulders and he said, "You're okay, you're fine, you're okay." But then afterwards, like, it kept replaying in my head. And like last April, when all that stuff came out, I got really, really sad about it. And the thing that I remember most, almost more than the assault itself, was just being told I was nothing. And he was right. That's how people treated me.
Mm.
That's how office treated me. And I have no platform. I am no one. And to him, I'm nothing. So yeah. So if people want to know why women don't come forward, that's a good example of why.
I believe Tara. I want to state that right here. I believe that this happened and that Joe Biden acted very inappropriately with her, at least. And I don't really think I need to say much beyond that. If you can listen to this and believe that she's some sort of cold, heartless person, then you do not have as much interaction with people as you think you do. Let's put it that way. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that have been used to discredit Tara in order to make this go away. And the big one is that, depending on who you talk to, either she's weirdly obsessed with Russia or she's just a Russian bot, or Russian agent, I should say. And this goes back to a number of articles and blog posts she wrote over a couple-year period and some statements she's made in the last 10 years. Brian and Eddie Krasenstein compiled all this information about Tara Reade and what they have to say. And one of the things that they use against her is that she repeatedly praised Biden for his actions in preventing domestic abuse and sexual assault and things of that nature. Which, it's interesting to me that she mentioned he was like my father. He was like my father's age, and she really looked up to him. And it's not uncommon for people who experience traumatic events to have their whole perceptions messed up by those events. So it's entirely plausible that in 1993, she was assaulted by Biden. Then she left Washington. 16 years passed. She saw that he was making efforts to prevent assault. And so she decided to assume he had turned over a new leaf, or decide that he had changed, or what. I don't know her inner mind. But what I can say is that the fact that she praised Biden for helping end sexual assault is not inconsistent with her having been assaulted. Perhaps she assumed that he had realized the error of his actions and was working to fix them. And if nothing else, I think that someone should be applauded for taking the actions that Joe did by helping to bring attention to this. I think that completely independently of whatever his actions may have been with Tara or any other woman. So her praise of Joe is not damning. Again, this is something that happened long in the past. And then when other women started coming forward in March of last year, she decided that maybe it's time this story got out, since other women are coming forward now and people are believing them. The exact thing that the Me Too and Time's Up movement was trying to say. And there's discussion about her story not being consistent, which this is not her story about the assault. Let's be clear. The story that's not consistent is things like how she came to Washington, why she left, and things like that. All of which I consider irrelevant, because whether she came to Washington in her Nissan or she arrived on a plane, she started life as an artist. She's trained in theater and creative writing and things like that. And we'll get to creative writing a little bit. So she could have very easily made up a cross-country road trip for flavor for something, I believe it was 2009. So in one instance, she claimed she came to Washington after a cross-country road trip. In another one, she claimed she arrived in a plane. It doesn't really matter. The point is she came to Washington. And she also claims that Biden went out of her way to fire her, but apparently in an earlier account, she said that Biden didn't even know why she left. So it could be that she thought Biden had fired her, but at the time when she said that Biden didn't know why she left, she didn't know. Again, the point is she left. And again, I can't listen to this. While I know there are very accomplished liars, again, the goal is to make it so that women can come forward when these things happen. So there should at the very least be an investigation, and this should not be swept under the rug. The last evidence that they use is Tara Reade's, in their words, weird obsession with Russia, and Putin specifically. She's claimed now that her obsession with Russia was because she was reading a lot of Chomsky. Now, Chomsky is not pro-Russia. He's not pro-Soviet Union. He's not pro-modern Russia. Chomsky's an anarchist. He has no love for any state. But I have my own theories about this because she's also claimed that her political stance is to the left of Bernie Sanders. To the left of Bernie Sanders, reading Chomsky. I think I know what happened, what the situation here is. She was a political aide, having to maintain something of a political platform, so she couldn't reveal her true power level. I think she was a tanky. I think from the evidence I reviewed here, I think she liked the Soviet Union because her claims, except for a couple of blog articles where she praises Putin specifically, her praises for Russia are mostly historical. She loves Russia, its people, its language, its geography. She loves Russia. That, I think, is consistent with someone who likes the idea of the Soviet Union as a socialist vanguard state, which it wasn't, and who realized, perhaps recently, that that's not good, that Russia is not good. A key thing tankies do is they disregard state propaganda about modern Russia and the Soviet Union. They assume that the state is lying about everything, which is how you could easily get to someone believing that modern Russia is a great place, even though all the information we have about it is that it's not. So the arguments they have against her basically boil down to she changed her story a little bit about how she arrived and left Washington, and also that she claims to love Russia and praised Russia and Putin from 2017 and 2018, and then changed her mind in 2019. So this means that she was bought by Russia. Her explanation for the blog post where she praises Russia is that she was working on a story taking place in Russia. And frankly, I've read the one blog post. That's what it sounds like. That she was writing a book about someone in Russia, and it was just an excerpt from the book. So obviously she's deleted this. This is an archive of it. What if I told you everything you learned about Russia was wrong? What if I told you as an American citizen you have been fed propaganda to further a certain political American agenda? What if I had told you actually we are the bad guys? This goes back to another thing she's claimed about leaving Washington, which was that she left because she was sick of the imperialism and things like that. So yeah, this is consistent with someone having a socialist awakening of sorts, that America is the bad guys, but a tanky because they're like, Russia may be the good guys? Our American empire is falling and failing, not because of some imagined threat from a foreign nation, but because of our collective greed. Greed is what runs our economy, and greed is what will destroy America. I am not being paid to write my political opinions, nor am I being hired by someone to do it. I am writing about this subject for the same reason I got into politics. I care for my local community and my global community. I believe in service to my fellow citizens is the most important work I will ever do. I love my country, but I see the reality of our collective dysfunction and our need to move in a better direction. When I was in my early 20s and just out of college, I began my journey into politics. I left that political work behind a few years ago. I resigned my position and took myself out of the Washington, D.C. Beltway. Why? First, I started as an actor in classical theater, an artist and writer before Washington, D.C. This work in the arts has always been my first love and best vocation. Second, I saw the reckless imperialism of America and the pain it caused throughout the world. Third, I love Russia with all my heart. I love the people, the history, the culture, and even my attempts to learn the language. This is the history. The culture could be problematic, but I could not stand to watch the deception and xenophobia that came from my own American government. It is so sad and destructive to revile another culture or country for no reason but economic gain. President Putin scares the power elite in America because he is a compassionate, caring, visionary leader. Visionary leader, definitely, but compassionate and caring, not usually words I would use to describe Vladimir Putin. Putin has higher approval ratings in America than the American president. He's beloved by Russia and he's not going anywhere. A lot of people seem to think Putin is hated in Russia, which he's not. Most of Russia legitimately loves Putin. Now, whether the fact that they love him is because of actual good things is a matter left to the individual. The fact of the matter is, just like that core 30% of America who love Trump, there's a much larger group of people who love Putin in Russia. To President Putin, I say keep your eyes to the beautiful future, and maybe, just maybe, America will come to see Russia as I do, with eyes of love. To all my Russian friends, happy holidays and happy New Year. This feels like the introduction to a short story or novel about, say, a self-insert story about a young woman who starts in American politics and maybe becomes a Russian agent or something like that in a fictional setting. And I think that she legitimately does love Russia. One of the things they say is that she turned around and started criticizing Putin. And it could simply be that she realized that as she read more and learned more, that, oh, yes, the people love Putin, but not for good reason. It's one of the interesting things especially when we see this from liberals like the Krasensteins. People can't change their story except for outside influence, or people can't change their feelings on a matter except for outside influence. There's no reason that her opinion on Putin would have changed unless she was bought off or something like that. So this information, while interesting, and certainly I think questions maybe she should try to answer, I don't think is damning. The other thing, this article right here, why a liberal Democrat, oh no, that wasn't, this article here was published in both Russian and English. And the Krasensteins claim it was originally written in the male gender and then translated, but there's actually a good deal of evidence that it was translated either from English to Russian or Russian to English by a service like Google Translate. So that could explain the mistake. But this is not sufficient evidence for me to discount her story regarding Joe Biden. So I believe Tara. And Biden should drop out, just like he did in '88. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. See you next time.